So it's winter time, so we know what that means. That means lots and lots of boat projects to get ready for the next season. Mostly because since we can't really fish, we want to be fishing, so we work on our boats. Anyway, so the next project I came up with is, you saw in one of my previous videos, I installed a kicker motor on my Mako 204. Well, I used this Panther Marine bracket. I like the bracket and I like the idea of it that you can raise and lower, but I really don't need this feature to raise and lower. And then also I don't like how much play this has. This thing has a ton of play in it, so when I'm towing, technically you're not supposed to even tow it with the outboard attached, but the outboard looks like it's going to fly off because this thing is just bouncing all over the place. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this whole thing apart. I'm going to save this bracket. I'm going to reuse the mounting plate, and then I'm going to cut these shorter and just fix it and get rid of the whole lever and the springs and everything and just have it a solid attachment. So I'll have a video showing kind of the steps that I go through to do all that. So I've got this thing apart now. I took the handle off, which I'm not going to use anymore. Took the springs out, I'm not going to use those anymore. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these two parts into a fixed position bracket. So I'm going to end up cutting these shorter, and then I'm going to machine a plate that goes across here that holds these so these can't pivot anymore, and then I can just lock it down. And I'm going to base the length and the angle off of where I want this to sit. In the existing version, this has a pretty steep angle to it to compensate for an angle transom, but this transom has an angle to it, so I'm actually going to kick this so it's a teeny bit more vertical. So when I machine that plate that locks these two together, I'll make sure that it holds it at a fixed angle and at the height that I want it. And since I have the power tilt or the electric tilt on my kicker, I really don't need the vertical adjustment anymore. So I've been picking away at this project here where I'm modifying my mount, my motor mount. So what I've done is I've taken this is essentially a parallelogram. I took the top section and I've cut it now so that it's at the angle, and this is now at the previous height when the motor was in the lower position. So the next thing I need to do is make this cut here, but what I'm trying to determine is the angle, the overall angle and height of this. So if I want to angle this more or less, I'm going to go with almost vertical. I'm actually going to match the angle that's on this right here on the motor mount for the big motor, so that those have matching angles. And I did all the clearance checks on these, although I'm going to be changing these out next. I'm going to be putting the Mako trim tabs. But anyway, so once I get these two pieces of the parallelogram cut, I'm going to make a plate that fits in here that has 2 bolts on the bottom and a single bolt at the top, and that'll prevent this from wanting to scissor anymore. And then and also this whole thing is now much closer and shorter than it was, so it's not hanging off the back so far. So as I get through the next steps over the next few days, I'll do some updates on the video. So I'm all done with the motor mount for my kicker. It's came along nice. I got this piece machined. It's got the bolts in there, keeps this from scissoring. I got that on both sides. There's one over here. This bolt's too long, I gotta shorten it, get a shorter one. But that plate essentially prevents the part from scissoring. And then what I did in addition to this is I added a plate to the inside of the hull so that I'm spreading the load out over a bigger area. So I have a bolt holding a backing plate that's behind all the bolts on the inside of the hull. So this thing is super sturdy now. It's not going anywhere. Feel real confident in it. I wasn't real confident in it before. It even says on the instructions that you're not supposed to tow with the kicker attached, which makes no sense to me, because who's gonna be able to put this in the back of their truck or car and then take it on and off their boat. That just seems ridiculous. So anyway, this setup works real well. I'm pretty happy with it. And now what I'm going to do, which I'll do in other videos, I'm actually going to connect the steering between the two. There's 2 existing holes here that I'm going to machine a plate for, and then I've got the linkage coming in the mail, and then I'm going to machine a bracket that actually bolts to here that comes off about 6 inches, and then I can connect the linkage, and now I've got steering that I don't have to use the tiller handle anymore, so I can get rid of this extension, but I'll save that for another video. So anyway, there's the finished bracket. This is almost vertical, so the motor is sitting in its lowest position now. I think it's just about right. I'm going to adjust this so it sits almost perfectly vertical, but I think it came out great and pretty happy with it. So if you have any questions on the install, just leave some comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And thank you for watching. Till next time.